what I have here are two legs on the bottom that I've already drilled the holes, but I'll explain it and I'll show you how to the drilling on the next frame part. So right now I'm on the bottom part that goes up against the dolly. So the legs have to go up towards the top of the table and they have to be flush. So you want all of this to be nice and tight and flush up against each other. And I have two screws going into the bottom part of the leg here, the flat part, and then two more screws going into this back side. So there's the bottom and there's the back. So each one are going to get two screws and some glue. So let's go and do that. The glue part is going to mark it off a little bit so I know what to glue. So I'm just going to put a line near the top. Alright, so if we take it apart, we now see the section that I have to put the glue, and you see the hole that I used to make the leg is now going to be hidden. So, some wood glue. Not a precise science, but once it dries, it'll be just as strong as a solid piece of wood. Okay, so we have that now. We lift this up, put it into the corner. We use this 2x4 to make sure it's all aligned. Alright, so now we have the legs all aligned on top of the base that we had before. Now we're going to put a 1/4 inch plywood, kind of tabletop or shelf top on the bottom. We're going to just put a little bead of glue around it and then screw it in place. And then we're going to get to the next step. So here we go. We got a nice solid base, and we want to assemble this one on top the same way as we did the bottom, and so we'll do that next. Is get the screws into the middle of each of these two parts of the legs. So on the bottom, we want to screw down with a little bit of an angle to get to the middle of the 2x4 that's on the table. So one of the angles will be, for example, like this. And we're just doing pilot holes because this part, you want it to tighten at the other end, not on the first piece of 2x4, but it's on the second one that you want it to screw in tight. So I did pilot holes for the first part, and that's a 5/32 drill bit. The table structure done. Now we need a tabletop, and the tabletop has to be a little bigger, a little wider than the legs all around. So I decided to make it 32 across, that's 1 inch on either side, and 1 inch at the end. So here we have the tabletop, and it's going to be, as I mentioned before, 31 across on one side, and the other one's about 32, just a little bit shy of 32, but for this purpose it is just fine. So we line up the line that I've drawn here a little bit past the edge of the table, or the end of the table, and we clamp this in place. Actually clamp it in a place where it's not going to be interfered with by the track or interfere with the track. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Like so. And you put a couple of them. Okay, so you line up the track following the instructions in the manual. And it's pretty much, like I mentioned, about 1/8 of an inch away is where the blade is. So now I bring the blade close. Oh, this is a little bit of an interference, so we adjust the clamp. And I double check where I'm going to cut. It's a little bit too close. There we go. So now I just make sure that it's straight. All right, this is going to make a noise. Lots of noise. Okay, so now this will go up against the workbench. This table will go on top. And the last step will be to install these clamps on the end here so that it holds the two tables together when I'm working with it. In addition to being able to lock the legs, you can use these clamps to hold the two tables together.